Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and let's get this party started right. I'm going to let you know that Link2, who is my sponsor, just added 3 new investments onto the platform: Expansive, and then Jackpot, and then BitGo. Now BitGo is relevant in terms of the Bitcoin ETFs and all, because they're a custody solution. So BitGo will be one of the custody providers that's going to benefit from all of the coming ETF, or the existing ETFs and the coming ETFs. And these other 2 have to do with, this one's Expansive is environmental commodities market, and Jackpot, mobile lottery service. Lets users conveniently purchase official state lottery tickets tapping. Now that sounds like a good business. Anything tied to the lottery's got to be good business. Anyway, I don't own any of these as of yet. Also, they yesterday they added Ripple equity. They had not had Ripple equity for a while on there, and they added it back to the platform. So wanted to make you aware of that too. They still got Ripple equity, is my understanding. Check this out. Here's Patrick McHenry talking about all he's going to do for crypto.
Joining us now, Congressman Patrick McHenry, Chairman of the House Financial Services Committee. You got a ways to go. So I
got another year.
Yeah, you do, and you still got constituents that you need to look out for their interests. What does that entail in terms of crypto? What does that mean you need to do?
Well, I've got. Look, when the House basically attempted to commit political suicide, Republicans in the House tried to commit political suicide in the fall, it gummed up 3 or 4 months of House floor action. So I've got major policies in capital formation, data privacy, and crypto that we haven't moved across the House floor, and I intend to get those moved across the House floor this year. We can still do big deals. We can still do big deals, even amidst the longest presidential campaign, general election campaign in American history. We can still get these things done and build consensus, and I think there's a need for market structure on crypto.
The recent ETF and watching the SEC chair sort of kicking and screaming, really, after the court said one thing, and that's no way to run a railroad, is it? I mean,
no,
shouldn't
it's ineptitude, and they went kicking and screaming after the courts demanded they take this action. Now you have more legitimate money coming in, flowing into crypto, some structure being provided to a new asset class that has its problems and needs some clarity under federal law to remedy it. But what you see out of Gensler, he's got 62 rulemakings he intends to do this year. You have this backdrop of regulatory policy for this administration that is problematic for them, and they're having a hard time rebranding what their economic policy is, to the point where they're sending administration officials out to try to convince the American people that what they feel, they should not actually feel.
Right.
And that's a tough thing.
Okay, so he's doing his anti-Gensler talk, and I said, great talk, Patrick McHenry. How about some action? Win subpoena. And I put John Deaton's timer back up, 119 days, 23 hours, 45 minutes since Chairman Patrick McHenry threatened to subpoena Gary Gensler for non-compliance with congressional oversight. He's done nothing but announce his retirement. And if you want to go connect to Congress, go to crypto-law.us. Then we had this. Now check this out. Remember, Anthony Scaramucci is an ex-government guy. He's connected. Apparently, he's in communication with BlackRock, but not just BlackRock, but Robbie Mitchnick, formerly of Ripple.
Now, there's a guy named Robbie Mitchnick at BlackRock. He's a young kid. He came into BlackRock with the idea of creating a Bitcoin.
And as Bitcoin maxis do, Scaramucci's not going to mention Ripple or XRP, or the fact that Robbie Mitchnick came from Ripple, or the fact that Robbie Mitchnick and Susan Athey are the ones that did the XRP valuation that created the XRP valuation fundamental analysis back in, was that 2019, I think? He's not going to tell you any of that because he's a Bitcoin maxi.
ETF. He orange pilled Larry. And I'm going to give Larry a lot of credit because Larry actually did the homework. Larry did the reversal.
Let me translate. So Larry Fink knows that XRP is the real deal. He had to be sold on the idea of a Bitcoin ETF. And the reason he had to be sold, most likely, is because he's an adult in the room and he knows DLT, yes. Bitcoin, wait, it has no utility. Why do we even need to go down that road? He had to be sold on it.
Larry was on the road to Damascus and converted as a result of being steeped in understanding exactly what it was and why it will be an international store of value. And I got to tell you something, it takes a very smart leader to pridefully say that Bitcoin sucks and then 24 months later say, you know what, I've got this wrong. BlackRock needs to be a part of this and BlackRock needs to have a significant stake in it. So no, I don't think he's just talking his book. He's not that type of person. And he has said two things that you should pay attention to if you're an investor here. Number one, it's a store of value. And number two, it represents a flight to quality, Scott. I want you to think about that. Okay, this asset has experienced 100 vols. Okay, it's gone from 80 to 100 vols. We've seen the asset go from 69 to 16. We've seen it do all different types of haywire things. But the largest asset manager in the world, the CEO of that company, says it is a flight to quality. Okay, so that implies that he understands it. Last point of the story, it's now 23. It's January. Robbie comes to see us. My partner, Brett Messing, who I don't think you've met, he says to my partner, look, I'm getting a lot of bureaucratic resistance at BlackRock. I need some outside money in this Bitcoin trust. So we sent them $10 million. We said, okay, we're in. So we were the first money in. He then went to the ETF committee and said, we can raise outside money for this. And they said, okay, if you can raise outside money for this, let's give it a go. And they were watching that Grayscale case carefully. Their lawyers told them that Grayscale was going to win that case. And then they dropped the application.
You noticed that everybody's so keen on watching the Grayscale case, but all the Bitcoin maxes, they're all interested in the Grayscale case, but the significance of the XRP case, they don't really want to talk about that. That's not, no, we can't talk about the significant. So one case, the outcome's very significant. The other, it's crazy, folks. SEC delays BlackRock's spot Ethereum ETF. I would delay it too. If I saw all the stuff coming out from Stephen Narioff and the Boring Sleuth, I'd be delaying it big time. The risks that are out there, think about this for a minute. These people have proven with transactions and tracking it all. This Boring Sleuth guy has shown transactions we're talking that lead to, if he's right, he's accusing them of out and out hacks and fraud and all kinds of stuff. If that's true, think about how stupid you'd have to be at the SEC or BlackRock for that matter to get behind an Ethereum anything. Note when you had knowledge that there was any kind of fraud or illegalities that were surrounding the people at the Ethereum Foundation or Ethereum. Can you imagine? That creates a tremendous liability, folks. Bitcoin halving in 84 days, 22 hours, 56 minutes, 30 seconds, 852 milliseconds. Chad Steingraber had pointed this out. Oh baby, they're coming for it all. He's talking about this Bitwise ETF top 10 index fund. I do agree with him that they are coming, but in this particular case, I went to their website and I believe, don't quote me, but the way I read this, the fund seeks to track an index comprised of the 10 most highly valued cryptocurrencies. So it tracks an index. In other words, Bitwise is not actually this is my understanding. Bitwise is not yet. They're not actually going out and investing in all of these digital assets. They're just, when you give them your money for this particular index, it's just tracking the performance of those things. It's not actually going out and buying those things. And then we have this is from Michael Branch, a series of recently activated XRP whale wallets have accumulated over 883 million XRP worth in excess of $454 million within 4 hours, triggering speculation among investors. Well, this is dangerous. You're not allowed to speculate out here. That wild speculation can get you in some trouble out here. Now, here's another clip that Meta Lawman put out from his talk with Brad Combs.
After the ruling came out with Judge Torres that XRP in and of itself is not a security, what happened in New York with the NYDFS, Jay?
Ooh.
Less than 2 months later, the New York Department of Financial Services came out with an update to their green list. Now, I have been complimentary of the New York Department of Financial Services for having a green list that the SEC does not have. And this green list says if you're an exchange, you can offer these tokens to New York residents, you're good. If you want to list a new one, then you've got to go through a process with us, which again, that makes sense as well. So I've been, complimentary of how it's been approached. And so XRP has been on the green list. And so after Judge Torres ruled that XRP traded on the secondary market is not a security, less than 2 months later, the New York Department of Financial Services updated their green list and withdrew XRP from the list. It's no longer green listed for residents of New York to trade in XRP on any platform that has a bit license that can operate in New York. So this struck me as kind of odd because Gary Gensler took the loss. You and I went through it line by line, and it was a loss, and a big loss, and an embarrassing loss. And then the next thing you know, this other state regulator says, no. Now that XRP has acquired clarity that's not security, we're going to delist it. This is what we call a non sequitur. It does not follow at all. In fact, if it had not been on the green list, the decision of Judge Torres would be a reason to add it to the green list, not take it off. And so me being a semi-retired lawyer with a little time on my hands thought, you know what? I'd like to understand what exactly has happened here. This is a government servant, government agency, and we're supposed to have sunshine laws that allow citizens to understand why their government does what it does. So I sent a Freedom of Information Act to the New York Department of Financial Services immediately after that press release came out. In New York, it's called FOIL with an L instead of FOIA with an A. And it just means Freedom of Information Law. And so, and it's very, very similar to FOIA. And they have a deadline to respond. And all I said was, I would like to have every single document, slip of paper, text, voicemail, video chat, or anything else that involved the decision to delist XRP from the green list. I want all of that. And the second thing I want is all communications with any other agency of government at any level, including the federal government, or any other state or any other agency anywhere in the world, where they communicated to you about your decision about whether to delist XRP. And of course, what I was looking for there is whether the SEC had influenced this decision, because it makes no sense at all to delist when it's clearly not a security, and a federal judge in the town where you work in Manhattan said not a security. And so anyway, I sent this Freedom of Information thing, and basically so far, I don't have any documents. So far they have missed 2 deadlines that they get to extend their own deadline. So now the next deadline is the end of this month, January 31st. And so while I am a lawyer and I have a license to practice in New York. I've retained a lawyer who's an expert in Freedom of Information Act law cases, and I'm not going to let it go because what was done here is quite bizarre. Perhaps, Brad, there's a rational explanation for this. I cannot think of what it might be, but I'd like to see the documents and see if, in fact, somebody put their thumb on the scale and said, look, I know this is embarrassing to take it off the list when it's clearly no longer considered a security, but we got to do it because somebody over here is applying pressure. I don't know. I don't know if there was a political consideration, but I intend to find out. And if it requires filing litigation in New York, that's what I will be doing.
Gary, might be time to go. Okay, we're about to go into DAIXRP.com, and we've got some answers in there. Now people are being thrown overboard. They're being ratted out. It's coming out who the bad guys are. The bad guys, I mean, whew, man, the things going on in this country are unbelievable, and I'm going to show you some of them. We're starting to see the truth really seep out in this country. It's like a great awakening instead of a great evil reset. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. You want to find out who's being outed now? Come on into DAIXRP.com. Here we go.